I buy Chrysler. Nope.
USA safe pilot. I can say it when I road trip safely.
Or I'm gonna
Oh,
say,
Valera
I can
was
say
toxic.
vacation. Yeah, with Safe Pilot, you can
Valera was a waste of money.
You can say
The Valera missions were wasting money.
This is Venera 4, a Soviet space probe moments away from attempting the first landing on another planet, Venus. At the time, very little was known about this mysterious planet, but scientists believed that under its thick layer of cloud was a world not too different from Earth, with a similar one-bar atmosphere and Earth-like temperatures. But little did they know what kind of world this poor little space probe was about to enter. As it hit the atmosphere at 40,000 kilometers per hour, its parachute deployed and the antenna started sending back data. At first, the atmospheric pressure was similar to Earth's, and the temperature was around 30 degrees. But as it descended further into the atmosphere, the readings started to go crazy. One atmosphere quickly became 10, 10 became 20, and the temperature was well over 200 degrees, when suddenly the space probe cracked open and all communication was lost. The last bit of data it sent back revealed an atmosphere that was 22 times thicker and 250 degrees hotter than Earth. But now that the Soviets knew just how harsh Venus really was, they were even more determined to get there. We modeled these incredible space probes to show you how the Soviets finally managed to land, take pictures, and record audio on the surface of our most dangerous planet. The early space probes had a relatively simple design. The lander was a 1 meter wide titanium sphere, pressurized inside to around 25 atmospheres. It had a handful of scientific instruments to analyze the atmosphere and a battery to power it during descent. The lander had no thrusters and instead used its own drag and a series of parachutes to bring it down to the ground. But with Venus's thick atmosphere, this turned out to be a problem. Instead of quickly falling through the atmosphere in a matter of minutes, Venera 4 hit the atmosphere like a brick wall and quickly slowed down to just 18 kilometers per hour, much slower than expected. This meant that the spacecraft had to endure 90 minutes inside Venus's atmosphere, constantly being exposed to the heat and pressure until it was crushed. The Soviets realized that once they entered Venus's atmosphere, time was limited, and so they would have to pass through the atmosphere before it had time to crush or melt the lander. And so the Soviets completely rethought their approach to Venus. They sent a fax to NASA asking for a special heat-resistant material, but the fax never got through because NASA was using Incogni, today's sponsor, to block it. Just kidding, Incogni wasn't around then, but they are around today when we need them more than ever. We all get calls from weird numbers and emails from websites we didn't sign up for. But where do these companies get our information from? Well, data brokers sell our are all the companies that can no longer send me spam. To protect your personal information and get rid of spam in your life, visit incogni.com/primalspace and use the code primalspace to get 60% off. In order to reach the surface of Venus before being destroyed, the Soviets redesigned the space probe to make it fall through the atmosphere more quickly. They added a cord to the parachute that would stop it from opening, allowing Venera to fall much faster. It was made of a material that would melt at 200 degrees, and so the parachute wouldn't open until the probe was much closer to the surface. Since the pressure on the surface was still unknown, the engineers went overkill with Venera's protection. The walls were 2 times thicker, and the space probe could now withstand a pressure of 180 atmospheres. The Soviets were ready to put Venera 7 through hell. As it hit the atmosphere, the lander slowed all the way down and deployed its parachute. The cord did its thing and allowed the space probe to quickly fall through Venus's thick atmosphere. The probe was now much closer to the surface than any of the previous missions, until, with just 3 kilometers to go, the parachute tore itself apart, and the probe started plummeting to the ground, slamming into the surface at 60 kilometers an hour.
Wow.
The Soviets had another failure on their hands, or so they thought. A few weeks later, when reviewing the data, they noticed that a very weak signal had actually been transmitted for 23 minutes after the lander hit the surface. As it turned out, the lander actually survived, but it had been knocked onto its side, making the antenna's signal to Earth extremely weak. Incredibly, the last bit of data it sent out showed that the temperature at the surface was a mind-boggling 500 degrees. Since temperature was not the main problem limiting their time on the surface, the engineers came up with a genius but simple cooling solution for Venera 8. Inside the space probe were blocks of lithium nitrate, a salt-like substance which has a very high heat of fusion. This is the amount of energy required to turn it from a solid into a liquid. In order to heat this material up by 1 degree, it takes just under 2 joules of energy per gram. But when it reaches its melting point, crossing that boundary from a solid into a liquid takes almost 300 joules of energy. And so this change from a solid to a liquid absorbs a large amount of heat energy, which is effectively stored in the material. And so blocks were placed inside the lander to absorb heat and take it away from the electrical components. This system worked extremely well, and Venera 8 successfully made it to Venus and survived for an entire hour on the surface. The Soviets had now mastered the art of getting to Venus, but the world still had no idea what this crazy world actually looked like. And so it was up to Venera 9 to take the first pictures of Venus. The lander was completely redesigned once more. Instead of using parachutes for the final descent, Venera 9 had a large air brake to slow it down and a set of landing legs to absorb the impact. But the most important feature on Venera 9 was the camera system. It had 2 movable cameras on either side of the lander that could take a 360-degree panorama of the surrounding landscape. But designing a camera that could survive the intense pressure and temperature of Venus was yet another challenge. The cameras were placed inside the lander's pressure vessel, and 2 periscopes stuck out into the super thick pressure window. At the end of the periscope was a small lens that could rotate and scan the 180-degree view of the surface. The light would travel down the periscope and through a lens that would correct the effect of the thick pressure window. Each of the 2 cameras had large lens caps that were designed to pop off once the probe had landed. On Venera 9, only one of these worked. This was the very first picture taken on Venus. On future missions, the cameras were improved, eventually taking higher definition color images. On Venera 14, a microphone was placed on board. The following is real audio of the probe landing on the surface and an instrument drilling into the surface. All in all, the Soviets landed on Venus 8 times, with each mission sending back incredible images and scientific data about this mysterious planet. An achievement we're yet to repeat some 50 years later. And now, for the Primal Space giveaway. The winner of the previous giveaway is David. Congrats. In the next video, we'll be giving away this custom Primal Space Venera poster to one lucky winner. All you need to do is sign up at the link below, like the video, and leave a comment saying what you...
Before I could use my mind.
This is Pluto, the 9th planet from the Sun. Or at least that's what they told us in school. But then, in 2006, they changed their... There is a mystery inside Neptune.
And a laptop. I'm doing one of those laptop things. Now, Mike and Lucy are not busy enough. That much is apparent because they've been on me for ages about this. We want to decide like a World Cup of your TV cars and real whatever. So I gave them a list, and then they've apparently culled that list down to a sort of short list. I've told you, not busy enough, which is still quite a long list, from which I've got to whittle down with this device they've spent ages putting together, by means of which I can sort of filter them down. So we're going to have like semi-finals and then finals, and then we have a winner of my favourite ever TV car. You can do this with me as I go through the cars. You can maybe make your
You
own.
know, if it's Oliver, he loves Oliver.
Plots a route like a family tree. I don't know. I think they've been drinking, but they've come up with this and told me to do it. So I'm going to go through the cars, and each of these pairs I have to pick one that I want to go through to the next stage. So. The first two, Rover 4 and 6 GTI, that was our first £100 car challenge. I remember that. God, I do remember that. I remember buying the in this area. And that is against the Jeep Cherokee, which was from a sort of one of our last Jeep car challenges, actually, on that show that rhymes with Floppeteer. So,
Rover.
two, I'm going to go for the Rover.
Rover, thanks.
It was an heroic car, generally cost £100. The only thing against going for the Rover is Mike will be delighted with that. I know he's delighted because he's standing there and he's really happy. Child, I knew you were. Okay. That's actually your dream car. The next two, the Mini from the India Special, I do remember that car, I ripped the front off it. And the Suzuki Super Carry from Man with a Van, which I had to flip on its side. And you see me doing it in that photograph. It actually took about 10 attempts. The damn thing would not go over. I was scan flicking it in to try and get it to do it. Eventually it did. An explosive fall, very nearly rolled, and I've still got whiplash. When I get tired and stressed, I get it's like I'm wearing a massive swimming cap. It's uncomfortable. But I'm actually going to put the Suzuki into, I don't know, I don't really know. The Suzuki's going to have character and personality, and those are the criteria I'm judging this on. You can make your own decisions as we go through, you might come up with a different result, but you're wrong. Right, Nissan 300ZX, that's from 1,500 quid rear-wheel drive coupes. I remember that trip going through a sunroof on a cliff, and I hated it. Toyota Land Cruiser, God, I hated that car. It was awful, but of those two, it's Land Cruiser, legend. I mean, it's a Land Cruiser, come on. You know, the Australians, if you want to get in the outback, take a Land Rover. If you want to get back again, take a Land Cruiser. This is difficult. My Isuzu TX from the Burma Special truck. Character, but also Ferrari 4 GT4, which I did buy off production. It was when we did supercars for the price of Mondeos. I loved that little yellow car. I'm going to put that through against the truck, which...
No, I don't feel well. I feel sick.
we did thousands of
I'm just not feeling well, so I'm doing this camera thing in case it goes wrong. I'll be all right. I don't feel well.
And I took one look at mine and realised the seat was just like full width, this massive cab.
I don't feel well, so I'm just doing this for safety reasons.
People like that, like a church pew. In fact, they called it in the film, my church pew. And it was angry.
No, I did not.
Hateful thing. Bags of character, but not as much as that little Ferrari GT4, which I wish I still had. 1,500 coupes and Porsches, BMW 635 CSI. Oh, when I went grass tracking in it, and I loved that. Chevy G20 GLM when I pulled up and pressed the button to fire the stretcher through the window into the hospital. I love that. But the 635, that's a fabulous thing. That was,
Don't say that, or it will happen. I don't want to do either one of those things. Hey, ate too much.
But that's proper racing. Grass tracking now, people spend fortunes on really, really elaborate cars to do it, and they get all competitive and serious about it. Whereas I like
I'm trying to relax right now.
An old slotter.
Because if something goes wrong, I'm going to do that, so I don't want to do it right now. And
killed or the car breaks. So, now look, Saxo VTS Rallycross, which I loved, but beneath it is a certain little yellow Opel Kadett. Come on, if you didn't betray it, I can't.
Oliver.
And I do know it's AXO VTS. They were. I used to I did own one for a bit. Because I thought, hang on a minute, they're going to go up in value like Peugeot 205 GTIs, Golf GTIs, and they didn't. Well, they did a bit, but not enough. Right. The
Oliver.
winner
Oliver.
is Oliver. Yeah.
Duh. There's Oliver.
Dodge Ram pickup. That's from our $1,000 US cars. That was one of our first big specials, really. And I loved my pickup. And against it, Subaru WRX from the Source of the Nile film. Oh, I do. I love a Subaru, and that car was tremendous. I seem to remember I fitted an armchair to the roof of it for quite a long time. Did I? Yeah, I did. I think that was me. I sat in an armchair on the roof of the car. I think it's a long time ago. I think that now the Dodge Ram's going through. Strange enough, Drive Tribe romping about with the Dodge Ram to play. There's no connection because I'm picking that because I like it. All right. So, NGBGT, Jeep Classics. That's one of the last films we ever made on that program. Porsche 94, 1500 quid Porsche. I love that. That was a
Let's talk about space.
I'm thinking something else.
In the early days of space exploration, it's mostly squeezed out of tubes, product of dehydrated magnets. Today, we can have quite a variety of food. There's all sorts of things that we normally consume on Earth that we have here in space. We just need some minor adaptations. In the case of sandwiches, we had to substitute for bread, so we decided to use tortillas. But why? Mostly it's because bread, of course, makes crumbs. You eat them on Earth, the crumbs fall down to the ground. The crumbs are just going to float away. On the other hand, the tortillas that we use are heat treated and specially packaged in an oxygen-free environment to prevent mold from growing. They're packed in packages like this. Thanks to that process, a tortilla like this can be good for 18 months. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our tortilla. We're going to get our peanut butter, squirt it on the tortilla, get our honey, put it on there. We will have peanut butter honey sandwiches.
Excuse me for a bit.
And voila. Weightless tortilla. Okay, got one tortilla. Oh, by the way. Take my peanut butter, open it up. Can't rip it. Fortunately, we have space scissors. They're attached by a tether so they don't go floating off. Take the scissors. Cut open the peanut butter crunch. Peanut butter's open, squeeze it onto the tortilla carefully. And now a little honey. And notice something cool about the honey. Instead of the bubble sitting at the top, because there's no gravity to make it float up, the bubble is floating in the middle. Okay, all closed up. And the envelope peanut butter honey is ready to eat. Not too bad. Last piece of my sandwich. It's pretty delicious. My hands are all sticky. Gotta clean up. We don't have a sink. We don't have running water. Not wash yourself out with some other disinfectant wipes. All cleaned up. Nice and hygienic on the space station. This goes in the trash. Lunch is over. Delicious.
So embarrassing story, guys. I got hit with a medical bill recently, and I did not have enough money to pay for it. But a friend of mine mentioned that she got this $5,000 loan recently, and it really helped her out. So I decided to try it. And I went to fastloanadvance.com, the site right here, and I picked the amount that I wanted. I chose the $5,000, and all I had to do was answer a few easy questions, you guys, and it literally took no time. And the money showed up in my account the next day. Oh, and if you're wondering, my credit score sucks, 520, but I still got approved. So there's no hidden fees, there's nothing crazy. It's just a super quick process. So if you're stuck with a medical bill or anything unexpected, definitely go ahead and tap below and check it out.
AI is changing everything. But that's your thing. Change. Like changing frenzy into fearlessness. And Adobe is here for it because we're turning AI promise into marketing reality, where personalization feels more human. And customers feel more connected. When AI meets marketing, ROI changes for the better. It starts with Adobe.
Hello, viewers of Top Gear on the interweb net. Well, that is the old Top Gear studio. And that is the old Top Gear green room, where we assembled, worked on scripts, had arguments.
I feel funny.
I feel funny as
Well,
well.
really odd being here.
I haven't been here since.
And the last time I was here, I was leaving after the last studio record. I was here, Ronnie's Land Rover, and I said something. I thought, what was that? And are we going to do this? It's going to be weird.
It is going to be weird. It might be a bit traumatizing, but
Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to look around the old green room.
it may not. It wasn't in very good condition when we had it.
It was horrific.
It may be.
I doubt it's improved.
I doubt it very much.
This is the same, slightly boggy grass.
Yep, I used to park there usually, unless you had.
Oh, yes, we did park along here. Oh my God, this was a massive part of our lives.
Is it
Over a long time.
Oh,
Yes,
it is.
it's
It's the
jar.
jar.
This is all probably dangerous. Good grief.
Are you sure?
It doesn't open because of this mat. I know I've shut it, but it won't open because it won't open on that mat. We can't go in.
We can walk through there where we used to put what we called the Spitfire table.
Yeah.
Where we sat outside in the summer, drank mugs of tea, coffee.
It's also where, as I recall, along here is where one used to stand to go for a wee before going.
That's right, yes.
This was it.
That pillar is so, well, anyway, you know. Wasn't some stuff dumped under here? Not.
It never seemed glamorous, and it really wasn't, was it?
God, I've forgotten about those curved windows. They used to fill with flies,
Did
didn't
we
they?
use a script in there?
Yeah.
That looks incredibly flimsy and dangerous.
Isn't this?
This one's open.
Oh, I've completely forgotten that this door was here.
Yeah. Ooh,
I'm sort of half expecting this to fall down when I
very strange.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It smells the same. Terrible.
God, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
This is where this was the green room, is it? Down here, I think.
that was full of junk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Full of junk.
God.
Yeah.
Do you remember the production tables used to be there?
Yeah.
With computers and stuff?
It's weird. It seems like only yesterday, but also 100 years ago.
Was this here or has this been added?
I think that's been added. This was our sort of green room, wasn't it? Wasn't this our space? There were
Yeah.
sofas in here.
Yeah, there was a sofa there.
We'd sit here when I was scripting
Sofa
before we
there.
went in. Remember, we'd do a run through here. We'd read
Yeah.
through.
Armchair there. Two sofas.
Was there a computer here?
Yeah.
And we'd rewrite scripts and work on.
Yeah.
And we'd rerun the news that we'd already thought up, but then change it.
So I generally used to sit on this end and you would sit there.
And then the time would be getting closer to get out, or we'd be gathering. We'd go out and have some lunch, wouldn't we? Bring that in and sit down and eat it. And still keep just going through the script again and again and again. And then we waited. That is genuinely really
What?
strange. I feel both 10 years old and 110 years old. It's that sense of, I feel like a little boy, but an old man. But yeah, every week we come here, every week, for years and years and years and years. We collected flies in here.
There was always thousands of flies there. And then we'd see the cars going past with the Star and Reasonably Priced car doing the practice.
And you think about the show, you think what was in it, you think if you had a really good film, you were pleased with it. There'd be a tricky bit in the news that you'd be dreading, or a really long, complicated bit that had a lot of stuff to remember, and you go, oh, I'm going to get it wrong. I'm just going to get bored.
And it used to go slightly quieter because we were all sitting there thinking, right, we're going to do that.
Did we get anxious before we did the shows? I can't remember.
I think we did, but we got used to it, and that was just the way our lives were.
Anxiety.
Well, yeah.
It was pretty much gone. It was a thing there, opposed to
The taxi poster, yes, that was here, wasn't it? And the other thing, which I still have at home, is the poster that was on that door, a picture of the marina saying, how about a nice big cup of Shelby hot up.
I think this is more nostalgic than going back to your old school because we were here as adults and we remember more.
Yes, we were also here now as we were to school.
Yeah, long time to school. Yeah. Yeah. Sitting here and read through it. And then sometimes just rewrite it.
Yes, he did.
Problem stories or addict stories.
Or the car that we knew we'd have in this year that we hadn't seen. I know it happened with the new Mercedes CLS.
I got sick and I feel better now.
They made up some joke about it. And then when we saw it, we thought,
Didn't
oh,
work.
that's really great.
Yeah.
And they had to completely redo that.
I feel better now.
Right. Grab breakfast,
Yeah.
lunch, whatever, and coffee. Sit in here and start a read through. Yeah. Then we go to the studio, in fact, we go to the studio to block it through the cameras.
Yeah.
Then we come back and carry on reading through.
And then we go and rehearse.
Then we come back and read through some more and have some lunch.
Yeah.
The audience will try it in.
And then there'll be that awful moment when the sound that appeared in the door.
Yeah.
of the microphone.
What's going on? And then we'd be fed to the night.
Yeah.
And after we'd done it, we'd come back out here and strip the mic off. Quick debrief. Give it some fun around it.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's great. And plastic thing, and then we'll drive home. Then.
Eventually, you and me funny. In that same home, I've got trouble.
Yes, he did throw up.
You ever take a salty, buttery flavored Ritz cracker and just
No.
every product Ron makes is named after one of my buddies in the trades who inspired it and helped us design it. Every step of our design process revolves around listening to the guys who actually do the work. If they've earned it, here's a fun one. Guys, pretend like you're holding up the building behind you.
I don't feel well.
That's it, right? Now give her phone back. How do y'all know each other? Friends?
There's a kid saying like a government down, so we can't see any money when you button all the not over on the
Ignorant in it.
It's one of those places I suspect does inhabit my dreams sometimes. Something about proportions, little details. Give it
I feel good, guys. I'm better now.
And also, inevitably, because it's the most evocative sense, the smell of it is slightly traumatizing.